4 million people are leaving their jobs. Let's explore the Great Resignation. Hello and welcome to another edition of Shine 365, where our job is to help you lead a better life. Today's review comes from Forbes magazine, Using Scenarios to Navigate the Great Resignation by Adi Gaskill. In recent months, the number of people who are leaving the workforce or switching jobs has become so great, it has been characterized as the Great Resignation. Indeed, a recent survey from Microsoft found that over 40% of workers around the world were considering quitting their job or changing their profession. That's 40%. Almost half the population of the world is considering quitting their job or changing their occupation. Given the inherent uncertainty of the COVID era, we may need some help to ensure that our next step is the right one. And this is where scenario planning comes in. Scenario planning was first popularized by Herman Cain in the 1950s at the Rand Corporation as a way to describe the future by outlining various ways in which it could potentially unfold. It's a popular method that, while commonly used, was perhaps not something that was prominent in the public consciousness. So let's explore this scenario. Let's explore your options, pandemic and post-pandemic, and see what we find. It's an approach that futurist April Ryan believes can equally be applied to our careers. In her latest book, Flux, 8 Superpowers for Thriving in Constant Change, she argues that scenario planning can be invaluable in helping us to map out the possible future available to us. None of us can predict the future, but all of us would agree that now is the time for change. If change is going to take place, now is the opportunity. So let's explore some of the options. Number 1, identify the key driving forces, which will include the major trends and variables that you believe that will affect your career. These could be viewed as the key determining factors in your career and should be categorized as either uncertainties or relative certainties. And understand that everyone's career is different, but who knows more about your career than you? So you need to put your career and your goals that only you know in perspective. And you need to forecast where you want to be and where you see yourself in the future. Number 2, build your scenario grid by selecting the most important uncertainties from your previous steps as the axes of your 2x2 grid. And then you can start to flesh out the grid with possible futures. The possible futures, that's number 3, you construct should be fictional and yet plausible at the same time. The aim is to make them both tangible and real, even though they haven't happened yet. And number 4, examine the implications and how they can be navigated so that you begin to understand the key factors in each scenario and any discrete actions that may follow from them. Number 5, and that's the last one, you'll need to develop and track key indicators that allow you to understand whether particular scenarios are playing out and whether your actions in them are working or not. Now, we are living in uncertain times. All of us realize this. We've had time to think about our careers and our lives. We've been forced into it. If you're quarantined, you generally have a lot of time to think. And thinking is something that all of us have done during this period. That we're living in uncertain times is beyond doubt. And this was certainly the case even before COVID emerged and added its own spice to the mix. The pandemic has prompted many to consider their futures, and commentators speculate that we're in the midst of the Great Resignation, where many are pondering their options and treating the pandemic as a reset button on their lives and their careers. Given the inherent uncertainties of the future of work, we may be in a position where we know we want to do something differently, but we don't know how to do it and what that will look like. Scenario planning can help you think through some options in a systematic and realistic manner. While it isn't actually a prediction and won't provide you with any guarantees as to your future prospects, it will provide you with some guideposts as to the various paths forward you can take and the various factors involved in taking those paths. Hopefully, that will mean that when you do take that first step, you'll be doing so with a clearer picture of what that future might entail and the plans you'll need to make it into a reality. If this podcast has made you think a little bit about your future goals, about your future career, about what you want in life, that's what we were trying to do. And we want to get the ideas out of your head onto a paper in front of you so you can share them with your friends and your family, and you can try to figure out, you can try to plan for the future. Now, we don't know what the future might bring, but we do have ideas, and we do know what we want, and we do know what we need. So I hope each one of you will think about that moving forward in your particular future. If you've enjoyed the podcast, please give us a thumbs up. It does help the algorithm a lot. Please like and subscribe. And as always, we will see you next time on Shine 365.